The American modernist composer Charles Ives once very famously said that awards are just badges of mediocrity, and he was dead right. Winning awards is a really bad thing for you personally, and it's bad for your business. And if you don't believe me, keep watching and I'll explain why. My name's Darren Bugg, and along with producing this YouTube channel, I also do marketing work and educational work. I run a marketing agency, and I also do some part-time lecturing work at various universities and colleges. I'm going to tell you a true story now about something that happened to me quite a few years ago when I visited a school in Yorkshire, close to where I live. I visited the school to have a chat with the school's business manager to discuss the possibility of doing some marketing and publicity work for the school. And it's something that my own company is very experienced in. We do a lot of work with schools and colleges, and my background is within educational marketing work, so I know a lot about the subject. But it became really obvious to me from a very early stage in the meeting that I was completely wasting my time. So the school's business manager explained to me that they already used a well-known marketing agency, a much bigger agency than my own company. And they did all their work, the prospectuses, the publicity materials, the website. This other agency did all of that work. And so I asked how much they were paying for this marketing consultancy work and all the printing and the publicity. And she shocked me because it turned out that the school were paying double, literally double, what I would have charged them for the same work, for the same prospectus, for the same website. They would have actually saved 50% of their budget if they'd used my company. So to put it bluntly, they were being screwed over. They were absolutely being ripped off by this big, well-known marketing agency. And I asked the business manager of the school if they'd just give me the opportunity to try out doing some work for them, see if they were happy with my work. I was able to do it at half the price, but to the same quality levels. And she said no. And the sticking point was that the agency they were already using had, and I'm using her exact words, they had helped them to win several national marketing awards. Those are exact words. And that was something I couldn't really argue with. I can argue on price, I can argue on quality, I can argue on deadlines, but they were winning these awards. So when I got home after a wasted sales meeting, I thought, I'm going to have a look at what these awards are that they've actually won. What are these school business marketing awards? And I was shocked to discover that they were the type of awards that any school can win if they put a bit of money into advertising with the award organiser, or if they buy a few tables at the awards event. So once a year they have the annual awards event, and they have tables of 10, and if you buy a table of 10 at 100 quid each, then you might just get highly commended in a category, that type of thing. I don't know if the school actually realised what was going on, but it was quite obvious that the awards hadn't been won at all, they'd been bought. I don't know if the school knew that this was really just a con and they were just pretending to win awards, or if possibly the marketing agency were charging double, but then they were using some of this huge profit margin in order to curry favour basically with the awards organisers. You know, a little bit of advertising here, a brown envelope there, buy a few tables at the awards event, and then you get highly commended, or you get second place or something like that. You know, your prospectus is highly commended, that type of thing. I really don't know if the school knew or not, but what I'm absolutely certain about is these awards had been paid for. They had not been won fairly and squarely. And that began to remind me of a job I used to have. And I'm not going to name my former employer because it wouldn't be fair. And I did enjoy working for this particular employer. But it was in the health food sector. And every year there would be all these different health food type awards. And we used to win awards every year. And it wasn't because our products were really good, don't get me wrong, they deserved to win awards anyway. But the reason we got different awards was because we were constantly advertising in the magazine that was produced by the people who organised the awards. It was basically, the more you advertised in the magazine, the more chance there was that you were going to win an award. And that's the way it works with business awards. I've worked in marketing now for over 35 years, and I can tell you as an absolute fact that the vast majority of business awards are not won fairly and squarely. There are some kind of brown envelope involved, or sometimes it's a lot more subtle. It's to do with advertising, it's to do with sponsorship, it's to do with some way that money changes hands and goes to the people who are organising the awards. And I'm not saying all awards, but I would say at least 3/4 of business awards are partly based on how much money you pay the award organiser. But it actually gets worse than this, because I know of a really famous music award, and again, I'm being very careful what I say because I don't want to end up in court for libel, but I know of a very famous music award where to get on the shortlist you do have to put some money into the award scheme, and if people knew this they would be shocked, because it's a really famous music award. If you're one of my viewers in the United Kingdom, then I promise you will have actually heard of this award. It's a really famous music award which takes place once a year, and I'm not suggesting for one moment that the winner of the award has paid, but there is a shortlist, and to get on the shortlist I know for a fact that you do have to put money into that award, and this is a really famous, well-known award scheme for popular music. So what does that lead us to conclude? Well, the conclusion is most people who win awards in business either don't deserve to win the awards, or even if they do deserve to win the award, they haven't won it on merit, they've won it on money. And people aren't stupid, your customers aren't stupid. They know that a lot of these awards are contracts. And when you go around saying your company is award winning, when you say your product is award winning, customers will be the judge of that for themselves. Don't take your customers as idiots. Your customers do know whether they like something or not. And just because it says something is award winning, that might get your customer to try something out once, but it only works once. After that, your customer will buy your product or your service if you're any good, not just because you've got the words award winning plastered all over your publicity materials. I think it's just a shame that some customers are actually taken in by this the first time, and I just think it's important to call out all these people, because when you look on LinkedIn or anywhere on social media, especially LinkedIn, at a certain time of year you see people in their dinner jackets and the women in the posh frocks with a glass of champagne in their hands, and they're clutching some award and they plaster it all over social media. Look what we won, look what we won. And I just think it's a shame, because customers are being taken in by it, and it is a complete scam. It's a complete and utter scam. And my advice to any small business owner is just do not bother with award schemes, because you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. And you might fool your customer once, but you can't fool them all the time. They know quality, and regardless of what awards you've won, if the product's no good or if the service is no good, then no matter how many awards you win, it will make no difference. Now, there's a book I highly recommend where what I've just said is actually touched upon briefly, and I think it's a wonderful book to read, whether it's in for business or whatever, just for your personal life. This is the book. I read this many years ago, and it's very much helped me in terms of innovation and creativity in my business. And I'm just going to quote a little bit from one of the pages of this book, which does talk about awards. And it says, nearly everybody likes to win awards. Awards create glamour, and glamour creates income. But beware, Awards are judged by committees, by consensus. In other words, awards are won by what is in fashion. Originality can't be fashionable because it hasn't as yet had the approval of the committee. So don't try to follow fashion. Be true to your subject and you'll be far more likely to create something that is timeless. That's where true art lies. And that is by Paul Arden. The book's called It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be. I highly recommend you reading this book. It's not actually about business, it's about creativity and originality, but it could apply to any aspect of your life. It could be your business or it could be just your life in general. And that's what he says about awards. So to use the words of Charles Ives, who I mentioned right at the start of this film, awards are just badges of mediocrity. They don't prove that your company or your product are any good. They do arouse some interest very briefly, but in the long term, awards are a bad thing for your business and they're a bad thing for you personally. I hope you found this useful. I know it's a bit counterintuitive and a lot of what I say in these films is counterintuitive, but there's a lot of sense in it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I hope you're successful in whatever you do. My name's Darren Bug. Please remember to subscribe, to like, to share, all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you again very soon.